With the T.I. situation, if he did that, you're a fucking rat too. I don't spare no motherfucking body. Because if you doing anything wrong, you doing anything criminal-wise, and you cooperate with law enforcement to get you out of trouble, that means you're cooperating, that means you're a rat.
You have any questions for me?
No.
You need anything to go with you?
My phone.
Your phone? Where's your phone at?
The car.
We're in the car.
Sexual.
I'm not looking for phones, I'm looking for drugs and guns.
I gotta say something about this, bro. Dwayne Wade, you gone too fucking far, dog. That is a male. A 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be.
I am one of you niggas who have been to the penitentiary before, man. What happened when a motherfucker say somebody ain't right and they goddamn show their paperwork and they is right? What's the penalty for that? Can somebody tell me what is that punishable by? Somebody tell me that.
But I'm gonna tell you like this.
Internet is on fire right now with whispers, rumors, and headlines that feel straight out of a rap soap opera. King Harris, the son of hip-hop legend T.I., has once again found himself in the middle of a storm he didn't see coming. But this time, it's not just about his wild nights out, his fiery arguments caught on camera, or even those run-ins with the law. No, this time, chatter about a so-called leaked private tape has turned the spotlight into a blazing inferno. And who wasted no time jumping into the chaos? Boozy Badazz fans were stunned when Boozy's words cut through the noise. Not aimed directly at King, but fired like a missile at T.I. himself. If he did that, you a rat too, Boozy declared, stirring up old wounds and reigniting a feud that's been simmering for years. Overnight, the internet turned this into more than gossip. It became a heavyweight battle of respect, legacy, and credibility. Was this Boozy taking advantage of a messy situation? Or was it the perfect opportunity to embarrass T.I. on the biggest stage possible? Stay locked in, because what started as whispers about King just exploded into one of the most talked about feuds in hip-hop. The noise around King Harris has always been loud, but this time it feels different. For years, people have called him out for reckless behavior.
With the T.I. situation, if he did that, you're a fucking rat too. I don't spare no motherfucking body. Because if you doing anything wrong, you doing anything criminal-wise, and you cooperate with law enforcement to get you out of trouble, that means you're cooperating. That means
questioned his choices and clowned him for trying to play a role that didn't quite fit. But when whispers of a private tape began to circle online, the conversation shifted from silly internet jokes to something much more personal, something much harder to shake off. Fans didn't just gossip. They dissected, they speculated, and they threw old rumors back on the table like ammunition. It was no longer about a teenager wilding out in Waffle House or posting tough talk on live. It was about identity, about legacy, and about whether the son of Ty was spiraling in ways even his father couldn't control. At first, people thought it was just another internet stunt, some fake headline designed to stir chaos. But the speed at which the story spread made it clear that this was more than your average rumor. Hashtags lit up across platforms, memes piled up faster than facts, and within hours, King's name was trending worldwide. But what made the situation truly explode wasn't the tape itself. It was Boozy Badazz stepping into the mess with a comment that took everything up another level. Instead of clowning King, Boozy aimed his words at T.I. His voice, sharp and unapologetic, carried across interviews and reposts. "If he did that, you a rat too," he said, drawing a line in the sand and daring T to respond. Fans gasped.
Getting pregnant.
I live with my grandma. You know, we'll go to the house on like the weekend. They'll say, "Hey, we shooting today. We need y'all at the house." They'll come get me from my grandma's house. And right after we done, when the cameras go off, I'm right.
Commentators replayed the clip on loop, and suddenly the conversation wasn't just about King's alleged tape. It was about T's credibility, Ty's past, and the fragile line between rap loyalty and family protection. Boozy knew exactly what he was doing. The timing wasn't a coincidence. It was calculated. While King was drowning in public scrutiny, Boozy found the perfect opportunity to twist the knife deeper into an old rivalry. People
Ain't mine, but the more he pushed, the more people refused to believe him.
online didn't miss a beat. They dragged up the history between Boozy and Ty, the times he defended Dwayne Wade's daughter after Boozy's controversial comments, The snitch accusations Boozy once threw in T's direction, and the parenting debates that had already caused tension between the two rappers. The internet framed it not as a new scandal, but as the continuation of a long-standing feud, one that had now pulled T.I.'s son into the spotlight as collateral damage. But behind the jokes and the hashtags was something heavier. King had been trying to prove himself for years. His fights, his public meltdowns, his claims of being cut from the hood life, fans saw them all as performances, as cosplay, as an attempt to build an identity outside of his father's shadow. And now, with a scandal this personal, the trolls didn't just laugh, they tore him apart. They said the baby he had with his girlfriend was a cover-up. They said the tough talk was overcompensation, and they said every move he made was designed to hide who he really was. Whether any of it was true no longer mattered. The internet had decided the narrative, and the narrative was brutal. Friends close to the family spoke in hushed tones, saying Ty was furious, not just at the rumors, but at how quickly Boozy had turned the spotlight from King to him. It wasn't just his son being mocked, it was his entire family being dragged into a circus. Ty had built his career on being a protector, a father, a man who valued family above all else. And now Boozy had painted him as a rat, a word in hip-hop that cuts deeper than almost any other. In one moment, Ty's reputation, his parenting, and his past choices were all called into question. Closed doors, sources claim the conversations grew heated. Ty allegedly confronted King, asking why he kept putting himself...
Well, of course I spoke with my son. Me and his uncles. We were perplexed by his necessity to go back and forth with a short order cook. I didn't understand why he felt he needed to stop what he was doing to engage someone who was at such another level of life. And I had to explain to him that, when people are not living the way they hope they would live, and here you is walking in with so much freedom and luxury, and people gonna posture themselves a certain way. So therefore, you're gonna have to enjoy your life. You're gonna have to remove yourself from
in positions that invited chaos. King, already frustrated by the endless trolling, snapped back that no matter what he did, the world was never going to see him as more than T's privileged son pretending to be hard. "They don't care about me, Dad," he's rumored to have said. "They only care about watching me fall." Those words hit like a dagger, because whether true or not, they reflected the pressure of growing up in the public eye, where every mistake is magnified and every rumor becomes a headline. Boozy, meanwhile, thrived off the attention. He jumped on live streams, laughed with his fans, and dropped more sly comments that only
like that in public.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any of my questions or make any statements. So my question to you is, I found just a non-felony in that ashtray in the back, as well as in that basketball sleeve. So I'm gonna go over here and talk to these guys, and someone has to get charged with it. It's not you.
I'm not talking.
You're not gonna talk to me? I gotcha. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
You need anything to go with you?
My phone.
Your phone? Where's your phone at?
In the car.
We're in the car.
Search me.
I'm not looking for phones, I'm looking for drugs and guns.
He poured gasoline on the fire. He didn't need to say King's name again. The damage was already done. Fans interpreted every line as another jab at Ty, and the more Boozy spoke, the more the internet believed this was less about King's choices and more about a strategic attempt to humiliate his father. And that's what made this scandal different from the rest. It wasn't just another celebrity kid caught in drama. It was a battle between two rap veterans, two men with history, using the mess around King as a battlefield. For Boozy, it was the perfect chance to reassert dominance in a feud that had been quiet for too long. For Ty, it was a nightmare. watching his son's mistakes weaponized against him in front of the entire world. The fans, of course, ate it up.
Warrant was still hanging over him.
I gotta say something about this, bro. Dwayne Wade, you gone too fucking far, dog. That is a male. A 12-year-old. At 12, they don't even know what their next meal gonna be. They don't have it figured out yet. He might meet a woman, anything, at 16 and fall in love with her. But his be gone. How you gonna... Like, bro, you going too far, dog. Don't cut his off, bro. Like, bro, for real.
Some mocked King relentlessly, calling him soft, saying he looked more like a reality show character than a rapper's heir. Others turned their attention to Ty, questioning whether he had failed as a father, whether his tough love approach had backfired, whether his entire family image was just a house of cards waiting to fall. Every clip of King arguing in Waffle House, every mugshot, every emotional outburst became fresh fuel for the fire. The internet didn't care about context. It cared about spectacle. But beneath the laughter and the trolling was a darker question. How much of this was really about King? And how much was about the people around him? His baby mama was dragged into the conversation, accused of chasing fame and money, accused of using the Harris name to secure her future. His friends were painted as enablers, people who cheered him on while secretly enjoying the chaos. Even his siblings weren't spared, with fans comparing their
remarks about it.
And one of you niggas would have been to the penitentiary before, man. What happened when a motherfucker say somebody ain't right and they got there show their paperwork and they is right? What's the penalty for that? Can somebody tell me what is that punishable back? Somebody tell me that. See, most of you motherfuckers ain't never been in no trouble. Motherfuckers ain't never been nowhere. Anybody tell me? Tell me. It been 20 years, bro. It been 20 years. I figure if I wasn't built like that, it'll show by now. It been 20 years, bro. I done faced every challenge motherfucker like to throw at me, man. You ain't seen me fold, you ain't seen me break down yet. Matter of fact, I come out smelling
their quieter lives to King's nonstop drama and saying to clearly played favorites. It was messy, it was personal, and it was bigger than a rumor, because now every move he made in response would be scrutinized. If he defended his son too loudly, people would call him desperate. If he stayed quiet, people would say he was guilty. Boozy had set the trap perfectly, and Ty was stuck in a lose-lose situation. And that's where the tension hung. Between a father trying to protect his son, a rival trying to tear down his legacy, and an internet that refused to let go of the story. Every hour brought new memes, new commentary, and new speculation. For King Harris, the noise had become deafening, and for Ty, the weight of his family's reputation was on the line like never before. As the internet continued to spiral with memes and speculation, King found himself cornered in a way he had never experienced before. Every live stream, every comment section, every trending tag had his name plastered across it. People weren't just talking about him anymore. They were dissecting every detail of his life like a crime scene. It was as if the entire world was pulling receipts, piecing together a puzzle they wanted to use against him. And at the center of it all, Boozy's voice echoed like a curse, calling out Ty, dragging up old wounds, and framing King's chaos as proof of a bigger failure. Inside the Harris household, emotions were reportedly running high. Whispers say Tiny was furious, not just at the trolls, but at how helpless the family seemed in controlling the narrative. She had spent years shielding her kids from the harshest parts of fame, but this storm was unlike anything she had faced before. Ty, on the other hand, allegedly paced the halls of their home, torn between going public with a fiery defense or letting the scandal burn out on its own. Neither option felt safe, because Boozy's shadow loomed over both. Fans began to notice T's silence and filled the gap with their own theories. Some said he was plotting a calculated clapback. Others claimed he was quietly negotiating with platforms to remove the video that had sparked the controversy. But in the world of social media, silence is never neutral. It's ammunition. Boozy's supporters mocked Ty for staying quiet, while Ty's loyalists begged him to stand up for his son. Every second without a response felt like another victory for Boozy. The unexpected twist. King himself broke his silence, hopping on live late one night with his voice cracking under the weight of anger and exhaustion. "Y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know what I've been through," he said, his face lit only by the glow of his phone screen. He denied the rumors, claimed people were desperate to tear him down, and insisted that the baby was his. His choices were his, and no one had the right to tell his story but him. But instead of calming the chaos, his words only fueled it further. Trolls clipped his every sentence, twisted his tone into memes, and claimed his defensiveness was proof of guilt. What made it worse was Boozy's reaction. Not long after King's Live, Boozy dropped a sly post of his own. He didn't name names, but the timing was too sharp to ignore. "Paperwork don't lie," he wrote, a phrase loaded with history in the rap world. Fans instantly connected it to T.I.'s past legal troubles and King's current scandal. The implication was clear. Boozy wasn't just calling King's credibility into question. He was doubling down on the idea that Ty's whole family was built on shaky ground. The drama spilled into studios, podcasts, and street corners. Hip-hop commentators debated whether Boozy had crossed a line by dragging Ty's parenting into the spotlight. Some argued it was all fair game, that in rap beef nothing is sacred. Others said a child's private life should never be used as ammo, no matter the feud. But the more they debated, the more the story grew. The internet thrives on controversy, and this was controversy wrapped in family drama, legacy, and rap politics all at once. Fans weren't the only ones reacting. Fellow rappers began weighing in, some siding with Ty, saying Boozy was out of pocket for using King's situation to stoke an old rivalry. Others laughed it off, adding fuel to the fire with their own jokes and commentary. The industry was split, and with every new voice chiming in, the feud escalated into a spectacle no one could ignore. Behind the scenes, Ty reportedly sat down with King for a tense conversation. People close to the family claim it wasn't just about defending him, it was about accountability. Ty allegedly told King that every choice he made, every live rant, every reckless night out was being used against them both. "You're giving them the bullets to shoot us with," he's rumored to have said, his tone heavy with frustration. King, feeling cornered, lashed back, accusing his father of caring more about his image than his son's pain. The words cut deep, and the silence that followed was said to be colder than any argument. Boozy, meanwhile, played his role like a seasoned provocateur. Every time the story threatened to cool down, he reignited it with another cryptic comment or slick remark. He knew the internet would do the rest, twisting his words into headlines and dragging it back into the mud. Boosie didn't need to fight hard. The momentum was on his side, and Ty's silence only made his jabs sting more. The public began to frame it as a war of legacies. Ty, the self-proclaimed king of the South, was seen as struggling to hold on to his throne, while Boozy, always unpredictable and unfiltered, positioned himself as the voice willing to say what others wouldn't. King was no longer just T's son caught in a scandal. He had become the symbol of a larger battle, the pawn in a feud that had started long before he was old enough to understand it. The cruelest part was how fans treated King's pain like entertainment. Every tear, every heated word, every defensive post became content to consume, share, and mock. It was no longer about truth or lies, it was about the spectacle. In the court of public opinion, King had already been tried and convicted, and Boozy was the prosecutor leading the charge. Yet, beneath all the noise, there was an unspoken question lingering. How far would Boozy go to keep this feud alive? And how far would T go to protect his family's name? The internet was waiting for a clash, for one of them to snap publicly, for the feud to explode into something that couldn't be ignored. And as the days passed, the tension only grew heavier, hanging over every headline like a storm waiting to break. Interview 1003 had now grown beyond a rumor or a feud between two rappers. It became a cultural moment, a topic people dissected at barbershops, in group chats, on podcasts, and even in classrooms. Everywhere, the same question circled. Was this just gossip, or was it the unraveling of an entire legacy? King's name was trending every day, and the pressure mounted. He could barely open his phone without being bombarded by notifications. Some sympathetic, most brutal. Fans picked apart his every move, comparing his lifestyle to the struggles of rappers who had really come up from the bottom. He was born into luxury, but he wants to pretend he's from the trenches, one viral post read. The internet had already decided that King was guilty of being inauthentic, and now they used the scandal as proof. What made things worse was how quickly the trolls dragged up Ty's old cases. Forums lit up with old court documents, clips of Ty explaining past legal troubles, and endless debates about whether Boosie's accusations had truth behind them. For fans, this wasn't just about King's tape anymore. It was about whether T.I. had built his empire on shaky ground. Boosie had managed to make the entire scandal less about a son's mistakes and more about a father's reputation. Inside the Harris family, sources whispered that the atmosphere was explosive. Tiny, exhausted from the non-stop drama, reportedly begged T to go public and put an end to the speculation. "You have to protect your son," she is said to have told him, her voice breaking from the stress. Ty, however, knew that any word he spoke would only ignite the fire more. If he defended King too loudly, Boosie would spin it as desperation. If he ignored it, Boosie would paint it as silence of guilt. Ty was trapped in a game where every move could be used against him. Fans expected Ty to snap back with a diss track, a fiery statement, or at least a live stream where he set the record straight. But what came instead shocked everyone. He stayed silent. Not a word, not a post, not even a subtle response. The silence wasn't just deafening, it was dangerous because it gave Boosie the stage to keep talking, and Boosie did. He leaned into the moment, firing off comments on interviews, hinting that he knew more than what was already out there. "Paperwork don't lie," he repeated, his smirk daring Ty to challenge him. Fans erupted. Some believed Boosie had actual dirt on Ty. Others thought it was just strategy. Either way, the narrative belonged to Boosie now, and he wasn't letting go. King, feeling cornered, lashed out again online. In one heated live session, they didn't know the struggles he faced behind the scenes. "I'm not perfect, but I'm real," he shouted, his frustration spilling over. But even his raw emotion was turned into content. Trolls clipped the video into memes mocking his anger, calling him out of touch and privileged. It was as if every attempt to clear his name only made the storm worse. Friends close to King described him as spiraling. The weight of being compared to his father, mocked for his image, and dragged for his personal life was taking its toll. One insider claimed he confided that he felt like a pawn in a war he never signed up for. "I didn't ask to be part of this beef," he reportedly said, "but now I'm the one paying the price." And while King battled trolls, Boosie turned his focus back to T. Interviews resurfaced where T had once defended Boosie, standing by him when others had turned away. Boosie twisted those old moments, framing them as fake loyalty. "You don't stand on business when it counts," he said in one interview, his tone dripping with disdain. Fans read between the lines, taking it as another jab at T's character. Industry insiders began to weigh in too. Some argued that Boosie was going too far, dragging a child into a grown man's feud. Others said Ty had it coming, pointing to moments where he had put himself on a pedestal as a perfect father. The split was sharp, and with every new opinion, the drama snowballed further. Interview 11/32/12. The most dramatic twist came when rumors spread that T.I. and King's relationship was crumbling under the pressure. Whispers claimed Ty was furious with King for putting himself in situations that fed Boosie's fire. King, in turn, felt abandoned, believing his father cared more about his public image than his son's struggles. Fans seized on the rumor, calling it proof that Boosie's words were hitting harder than anyone expected. The internet doesn't forget, and soon old family clips of Ty and King resurfaced. Smiling moments, father and son interviews, lighthearted banter. But instead of celebrating them, fans twisted those clips into ironic jokes. Captions like "Look at the legacy now," and "From family goals to family feuds" went viral. It was salt in the wound, mocking not just King but T's entire brand as a father.